What's up? Princess coming to you from the Cineverse, and today we're talking about bitches. Yep, that's right, I'm talking about getting some bitches. Look, matter of fact, I'm talking about my main bitch. I'm talking about my side bitch. Oh, you know what? Well, after this, can you get on the phone and call some bitches up? We need some hoes to come through. Let me tell you something. We need so many bitches here right now. Pause. You might be feeling maybe a bit offended by what I just did. Or maybe you're asking yourself, wow, if you're not offended, you might say, wow, has he gone off the deep end? Has he lost his mind? Is he crazy? What's wrong with him? As an entrepreneur, you might say, well, you know, that might be something that's detrimental to your career. Why would you say something like that? And the reason you're feeling the feeling that you're feeling right now is because you've placed a superficial script on me. Now, let me ask you a simple question. Let's say I was a rapper, say I was somebody different, and I said the exact same thing. How would you feel about it? Would you feel any different? You probably would, because you would have placed a different script on that person. Now, on the surface level, to a degree, it may seem harmless, right? Because you're placing the script on me. It's not something that deals with you. But what I want to talk about, and I'm going to show you in this video, is how to break social conditioning, how these scripts are things that we act out without knowing them. Because other people put scripts on us, and we act them out subconsciously, and it leads to us not living the lifestyle we want. So let's break some social conditioning. Let's get it. They're gonna say, I lost my goddamn mind on this one, ain't they? I'm like, he's crazy. What the hell's wrong with him? But if they watch the video, they'll break some social conditioning. Anyway, so social conditioning. Before I can kind of get you to break social conditioning, I have to explain where conditioning comes from. So first, let's talk about the idea of conditioning. There's an old experiment. If you're into any type of psychology, you've probably heard of it before. It's the Pavlov experiment, where Ivan Pavlov, he did this experiment where he took a dog. And so what he did with the dog was he took a bell and he took some food. And when you put the food next to the dog's mouth, the dog would start to salivate. You know, its mouth would get wet because it was anticipating the food. And he would ring the bell at the same time while he put the food next to the dog. Now, he did this so many times that the dog became conditioned to whenever they heard the bell, their mouth would salivate. So much so that even if the food wasn't present, the dog's mouth would still salivate. This was basic conditioning. Now, let's take that on a bigger scale. We talk about social conditioning. Social conditioning is a response that you have to the world around you that has been conditioned in you since you were young. So for example, let's say I talked about this on my first video. People told me that I wasn't social. So because that response came to me so many times, that even without somebody telling me, I became conditioned to say that response to other people. This is a simple level of social conditioning, and it's through a process called socialization, where we adopt the things around you. I've talked about it before in the first video. You can go check it out. I'm not going to talk about it again. But what I'm going to talk about more specifically is how do we break this social conditioning.
Hey man, listen. If you want to get rid of social conditioning, you're going to have to pull up on your goals. And I'm not talking about with a golf cart. You have to pull up on them with a motherfucking Ferrari with all the motherfucking engines turned. And you don't have to just really just pull up and drive to it, because right now you're really far away from it. And the shit is pissing me off. I'm tired of people coming to me like, oh, well, I'm supposed to do this because that's what Aladdin and Jasmine did in fucking Disney. That's not real. It's not real. It's the real world. Take action.
This social conditioning is the most insidious thing there is. Being conditioned is one of the things that stops you from getting you where you want to be. Because subconsciously, because you've been conditioned, remember what I said, it's conditioned, it's subconscious. You don't even know it's happening. You act out scripts without ever knowing they're happening. So an example of this is, let's say right now, you say, man, you know what? I want to start a business. I want to be successful. You're going to have all these doubts and all these fears. But ask yourself, where are these doubts and where are these fears really coming from? Are they you? Are they something that you made up in your own mind? And that's how a script works. I call it a script because a basic script is something you act out. Like you think about a play. I did this video over here by the theater district to kind of illustrate that point. If you think about a play or think about a movie, it's a set of lines. It's a response that you have that's kind of pre-scripted or premeditated. Now, when you become conditioned, the response becomes premeditated. So the thoughts that you believe are your own are not even your own. And this is what's so crazy about social conditioning, and it's why it's necessary for us to break it. So now that we know what social conditioning is, and we know how it can stop you from getting where you want to be, let's talk about some ways to break social conditioning. So what do we do to break social conditioning? There's only one cure for it, really, and that's script rewriting. Now, this is a simple concept, but I'm going to explain it to you. A lot of people, they always talk about who they are. They always talk about these ideas of who they are. This is what I believe. This is my religion. This is my background. This is the type of people I date. These are all the things that I believe are inherently me. And a lot of times they're scripts. I had a good friend of mine. I asked him a simple question. It was a question about religion. I know everybody gets scared. They get touchy when you talk about this. I asked him a question about religion. I said, why do you believe what you believe? And he looked at me and said, because my mother believes it. Now, it doesn't matter what somebody believes. Everybody has the right to their own beliefs. But let me ask you something. How strong is something if the only reason you believe it is because your mother believes it, because your father believes it, because your brother believes it? Oh, the friends around you believe it. How strong is that? And is that really something that you can pride yourself on and say that's you? Really, to get out of this, there's only one simple solution. I'm going to tell you what it is. It's what I call script rewriting. In order to rewrite a script, you have to test your boundaries. And one of the things that I did in order to test my own boundaries was always busting outside my comfort zone.
You gotta take chances. You gotta do shit that you never would do. Hope I don't fall in this motherfucking water trying to break the social condition. Oh yeah.
What I mean by that, I'm not talking about something simple. Let's say you have a deep held belief. You have to go look at the opposite beliefs. You have to put yourself in situations. I said before, I wasn't a social person. I took myself to a nightclub. I was terrified. Terrified when I went in there. To be in a social position like that, I had so much social anxiety, but I went in there and I did it. You know why? Because it's the only way to rewrite the script. I never would make videos. I never would have been an entrepreneur. I never would have been able to build a successful business because I would have been still stuck in the script that everybody told me that I wasn't a social person. So the whole thing is, I don't care what you're saying to yourself right now, what is you and what isn't you. Unless, and this is key, unless you have taken time to really analyze yourself, really have self-awareness, and understand what you really want in life, I can guarantee you it's not you. But in order to break out of social condition, you have to rewrite the script. So if it's a book that you've been scared to read because it's a little bit outside your comfort zone, read that book. If it's a person you don't want to talk to because they conflict your ideas, hang around that person more. If it's a place you don't want to go to because you've heard, oh no, people like me don't go there, go to that place. The place that you're most scared to go. The things that you're most scared to do, that's where the most growth comes. And that's the only way to break social conditioning. You have to step outside your box. So many people are walking around claiming that they're themselves, claiming that they're their own unique person, but all I see is people mimicking the same stuff I see everywhere else, whether it's all the movements that are going around now, new movements popping up all the time. I'm not here to try to tell you that, oh, it's this movement you need to follow. I'm teaching you principles. I want you to understand principles. That's why I'm trying to reach you. That's why in the beginning of the video, I may have shocked you a little bit because I'm trying to reach you. I'm trying to show you that the principles, all the techniques, all the things that you see around here, they're telling you to do as I do. Do something like I'm doing it. What I'm trying to tell you, and what I want you to understand, is that you have to develop independent judgment. And that only comes from questioning every script that's in your life. All the things in your life, if you don't question them, you're going to be stuck in social conditioning. But before I go, I want to talk about what's the biggest hindrance and why it scares so many people when it comes to breaking social conditioning. I like to always kind of ground this and talk very practical with you about the biggest thing you're going to face when you try to break out of social conditioning. And that's what I call script resistance. Now, script resistance is basically the world around you pushing you back inside the script. Because when you step up, when you start breaking the script, it threatens other people's existence. A lot of people, when I start being an entrepreneur, when I started doing my own thing, a lot of people said it wouldn't work. They said I need to go back to school. They said I needed to get back inside my box. Why? Because if I break out of social conditioning, what does that say about the people around you? Like, if you break out of social conditioning, what does it say about all the people who are still stuck in social conditioning? If you dropped out of college, for example, and I'm not telling anybody to do that because dropping out of college, as I've said before in another video, you're going to have to work your ass off because it's not going to be easy. However, if you do and you succeed, what does that say about all the people making excuses? If you go start a business right now, even though you might have kids, maybe you have some type of stuff in your life that's hindering you, if you do all those things and you're successful, what does that say about the people around you? That people can't have that. And that's why social conditioning is so difficult to break out of, because everybody else is perpetuating the system. It's like they talk about on The Matrix. On The Matrix, when people aren't unplugged, they're still enemies. They're still something that's going to try to put you back inside the system. And that's what you want to avoid.
Now let me ask you guys something for a second. Let's talk about Oprah. Now, like I said earlier, nothing wrong with going to school. Nothing wrong with graduating from college. But what if I told you that Oprah Winfrey, one of the richest women in the world, one of the richest single women in the world, dropped out of school? She pursued a career in television. And at first, shit didn't work for her. So a lot of people, I'm pretty sure there were doubters. I'm pretty sure there were haters. I'm pretty sure there were people like, oh, you need to get back in school. You need to find a man. You need to marry you a rich husband. But she stuck to it. Regardless of what her family might have said, regardless of what other people might have said, she kept doing what she really loved to do, what she dreamed to do. And now, she's one of the richest, most powerful women in the world. Oprah. Now that's what we're talking about when we're talking about breaking social conditioning. Oprah could have quit. Oprah could have went and got a degree. But what Oprah did was follow her dreams, and then once she was big enough, the school invited her back and gave her an honorary degree. And it was something that she eventually did because not something that her parents wanted her to do, but something that she was just like, I think it'd be cool for me to have a degree. I'm already a millionaire, billionaire. Let me just throw a degree in there too. So is that what the story that you want for your life? Is that the story that you want to be told? Or do you want to be forced? Have to do something that you really might not want to do or give a fuck about. That's that movie.
I've seen this with so many friends. As soon as they try to start rising up, maybe they start getting into stuff like self-development. They're like, that's corny. What you reading that lame ass shit for? Really? You're trying to better yourself? You're trying to get better at your life? And the reason they're doing this is because it's classic script resistance. Now I want to say this one last thing about social conditioning. I don't want to be one of these people who just puts it out there and doesn't talk about the flip side of it. There are a lot of good things in social conditioning. For example, social conditioning, that's the reason you don't jump out of a plane and kill yourself, because you know that'll kill you. You don't jump off buildings. You don't put your fork inside an electric outlet because you know that would hurt you. And those are all products of social conditioning. But the same thing that can be so useful can also be a hindrance. And that's why we have to question everything, question scripts. Look, even this video, if you don't believe what I'm saying, go look up the stuff I'm talking about. Go look it up for yourself. I'm not here to try to make you think like me. I'm trying to get you to think independently and form your own independent judgment, because that's the only way you can break social conditioning. And I want you to remember that. When you start trying to break social conditioning, be prepared for it. You're going to get resistance. The people around you are going to resist it. People are not going to be a part of they're not going to want to be a part of what you're doing, because it threatens their own identity. And one thing about all of us, we get comfortable. We want to stay the same. If you force people to move and not stay the same, it causes a lot of insecurity, a lot of self-doubt about their own existence, and they don't want to do it. So the best thing they can do is try to hold you back. That's just one thing I wanted to tell you, and it's one of the biggest things you need to understand when breaking social conditioning.
Man, listen, bro. I don't know what else you want me to tell these people. Y'all don't get it by now. I know Princeton's thoroughly explained it to you. However, if you don't understand that you need to take advantage of your own life and unplug yourself from the fucking matrix, I don't have anything to say. It's your life. At the end of the day, you have to live your life for you. You can't live for your mom, can't live for your dad, can't live for your brother, sister, girlfriend, cousin, whoever. You have to live your life for you, and at the end of the day, you have to decide, are you happy with what you become? So if you're completely happy with what you become, this video is not for you. Go on, live your life. But if you want to change shit, if you want to take massive action and change your conditions and unplug yourself from the matrix and be something greater, join the Massive Action Movement, guys.
Basically, I want you to remember with social conditioning a couple of key things. The first thing is, don't be somebody who stereotypically puts people in scripts. Now, what I did in the beginning of this video may have shocked you, may have put you off guard, but I'm doing that to kind of mess with your mind and to show you how powerful social conditioning is. You didn't even probably think that you put a script on me, even though I'm talking about entrepreneurship, I'm talking about trying to get to your best self and all these things. But it happens to the best of us. We all put scripts. But the question is not, do you have to follow some script? The question really is, are you writing your own script? See, the big thing about me is, I don't care what somebody else is saying. I don't care what somebody else believes. I don't care what my mother thinks. I don't care what my father thinks. I don't care what my friends think, my brothers, friends, and family. I love all those people. However, I still write my own script in life. And if some people don't like it, if some people don't get offended by it, that's just what it has to be. Because I'm trying to go to the place that I want to go in life. My question is, I hope you're trying to go there too. One thing I realized was that if you want to take your place wherever it is in life, you can't sit around and ask for permission to be who you want to be. There's a thing that's sitting back in the back of your mind right now. I know it is. It's sitting there. You're thinking about it. You're saying, I want to be this person, but, well, what would my friend think? All this. All these things are scripts that you're playing into. You feel guilty about being yourself. So I just want you to remember that. It doesn't matter what's going on around you. Stop. Stop right now. Shake yourself out of the social conditioning that you're under. And just remember those couple things. Do not play scripts on others, and do not play scripts on yourself. Live by your own standard. And another thing, also remember, in order to break a script, and the only way to break a script is by taking massive action in shaking up whatever you're doing. So anything that's uncomfortable, anything that's the limits of your beliefs or the boundaries of your beliefs, try it out. If you do it, at least you'll know that that's something that's not for you, and you won't be sitting around being like, oh, I'm just gonna resist it, I'm gonna talk down, and I'm gonna say this shit is stupid because I've never done it before. You'll have a more broader perspective of the world, and you'll understand a lot more about yourself, about what's your perspective. I always say you should be strong enough to test other things and still hold your perspective if you're really an independent thinker. Just think about that. And lastly, remember that there's going to be script resistance. Right now, this video, a lot of people didn't make it this far in this video because they probably cut it off in the first couple of seconds when I start talking about bitches. Now look, I'm not here to try to offend anybody, but in order to reach you, in order to try to reach you, I'm serious about trying to teach you these concepts. In order to reach you, sometimes I have to do things that are a little bit shocking to try to get you to understand the power of social conditioning. If I just came on here and I talked about it, you wouldn't understand how deep the concept goes. You wouldn't understand how deep the conditioning is. You wouldn't understand how powerful a hold of social conditioning has over you and the people around you. Now, the last thing I want you to remember, and for your massive action challenge, I want you to rewrite the script. What can you rewrite? What part of the script can you rewrite right now? I want you to take 5 or 6 beliefs, deep-held beliefs. I don't care if it's stuff that you don't want to challenge, that it's uncomfortable. I want you to do the opposite of them. Now, I'm not talking about do something crazy. I'm talking about things that you held belief, and look at opposite sides of that. Opposite sides, opposite objectives, opposite ways of looking at it. If it's somebody who has conflicting beliefs, go talk to that person. Go see what type of ideas. Try to see it from their perspective. Because the whole thing is the only way to really break the script is to rewrite everything that you think you know. And once you do that, I can guarantee you, the person that you find sitting on the opposite side will be a lot fuller, better, stronger, and more happy person because they'll be living the life they want and not the script they've been fed their entire life. Join the Massive Action Movement. Like and subscribe for more. Leave me comments. Let's go.